The Soutar shop is a unique frozen-in-time record of shoemaking in the northeast of Scotland in the early 1900s. The last entry in the ledger was in 1951, and it was another half-century before the building and its contents were given to Birse Community Trust, more or less as it had been left undisturbed. (1937) September the 21st, Alec Begg, Milton, slippers repaired, 1 shilling and twopence. James Merchant was a suitor and shoemaker in Aberdeenshire. He was born in 1860 in Durras. This was around the time the Deeside Railway had just been extended to a Boyne and in the middle of Queen Victoria's reign. It was a time of great change to lifestyle, industry, rural crafts and farming. James Merchant married Jane Strachan from Old Meldrum. They first set up house in Kincardine O'Neill and by 1901 were tenants on the Belogie estate. They had a thatched cottage with a good plot of land. The census of 1901 records that Merchant was a crofter and shoemaker. Like many others, he made a living from growing vegetables, making honey that he sold in Aberdeen. Apparently Birse honey was highly sought after, doing seasonal jobs on farms at harvest or grouse beating times. He was sometimes paid in firewood, peats, oatmeal or mutton. However, his main work was making and repairing things in leather, mostly shoes and boots, but also horse tack, belts for clothes and threshing machines, bellows for the blacksmith, and bags for the postman of the school. Merchant knew he needed somewhere where he could both make and sell shoes, so he built a Soutar shop on the croft. The family grew with the arrival of Jeanie and James, who would have been involved in the tasks of the croft, and most likely going to the local school in Belogie. Most rural workers of the period would have had an apprentice so the skills of the time could be passed on. As his son James grew up, there are accounts of him cycling around the parish, selling shoes and boots to the household and farms. Merchant kept a detailed ledger, a very useful document today, as it records everything he made, sold, mended and charged for. He must have been very proud of his business, as the ledger pages were headed, "Bought of James Merchant, bootmaker, the shoes which nurse your health." September the 21st, Alec Begg, Milton, slippers repaired, 1 shilling and twopence. September 24th, Miss French, new shoes, 10 shillings and sixpence. Willie Birse, toe-on boot, 5p. Mrs. Fowley, Bankhead, girls' shoes, 7 shillings. Peter Smith, Creech, boots repaired, 4 shillings. Reed, Community, boots repaired, 2 shillings and sixpence. Reed has come back again from Community, laces, 5p. Robbie Fraser, new boots, 19 shillings and sixpence. Robertson from Starry Pools, needing some dubbing at 6p. Mr. Gold, small shoes sold and heeled, 2 shillings and sixpence. Mr. Fowley, Bankhead, Wellingtons, 4 shillings and sixpence. Merchant would have been an important person in the community in the 1900s, as people might only have had one pair of shoes or boots. Local stories talk of him sitting in his workshop, always sitting in the same seat, in front of the fire, a bushy beard covering his face, working away whilst the shoe owner, who needed their shoes for the next day's work, sat patiently waiting for the repair to be complete. He would hold a collection of tacks in his mouth, taking them out to be hammered into a shoe one by one. His small wood-burning stove attracted many a local to come and sit and chat. When James Merchant set up his Soutar shop, there were many more people working on the land in the Birse and Belogie area than there are today. The Deeside Railway encouraged local development and aided prosperity. The big houses of Belogie and Fingen were well served with estate workers and labourers. Forestry was big business, as Aberdeen needed wood for house building and general construction. Mr. Merchant, dear sir, I'm sending down the girl to see if you would give her a pair of working boots. Not too heavy ones. They'll be size 8. I'll be down some night to square up and oblige. Yours, J. A. Gray, Older Leaper, Birse. Mr. Merchant, dear sir, the bearer of this, James Bissett, is needing boots. I will see that you're paid. Be as easy with him as you can be, as he is a poor, ill-off loon. Yours truly, Charles Grant, Glencat, Birse. The mechanisation of farming was growing fast, but despite this, wages were low. Farm workers considered themselves lucky if they had 2 pairs of boots, one for the working day and one for Sundays, weddings and funerals. Children usually had 1 pair of boots or shoes. These were worn for going to school in the winter or to church, and for the rest of the time they were barefoot, no matter how rough or cold the ground. When shoes became too small, they would be passed on to the younger ones. Many couldn't afford to take their shoes to the Soutar to be repaired, so money could be saved if shoe mending was done at home. It was quite common for a father to have a shoe last, so new soles could be put on the children's shoes or tackets fixed to his work boots. The ledger was a vital part of the business, as it recorded if something had been paid for or not. At the time, it wasn't uncommon for rural wages to be paid once or twice a year, so often the Soutar had to wait quite a while for his money. So in other words, the Soutar got paid when the customer got paid, and that might not be for 6 months or even longer.